asking you, as a former Prime Minister, do you endorse the strikes by Israel and US that we've seen on Iran?
Yes, well, to put it in the right order, I think this was an attack by America together with Israel. America first. And I think this was a decision of President Trump. And we have to put things in the right place. Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, for years and years and years was threatening the liquidation of the state of Israel. He threatened that Iran will possess nuclear capacity. One of the main reasons was to destroy the state of Israel. The ballistic missiles which they have developed were shot at Israel a few times, hundreds of missiles over the last couple of years. So if the President of the United States of America reached a conclusion that Khamenei and Iran are the enemies of the United States of America, and that in order to defend the security interests of the United States, they need to destroy the military capacity of Iran, I can't but congratulate President Trump for making this decision. And I have to agree that it was in the interest of Israel that it will be done. And therefore, I think that the Prime Minister of Israel on this particular case reached the right decision.
Right. But while you're endorsing the decision to take out Ayatollah Khamenei, there are many countries which are raising questions about Iran's sovereignty being violated with this kind of attack. They say that what if the United States tomorrow decides to do this in other countries?
Well, what about the sovereignty of the state of Israel being violated by Hezbollah, the proxy of Iran? What about the sovereignty of the state of Israel being violated by the Hamas, proxy of Iran? What is the sovereignty of Israel violated by the proxies of Iran, the Houthis, and the Iranian militias, and the Iranian ballistic missiles shot at Israel in great numbers over the last couple of years? So I think Iran is the last country in the world which can complain about violating sovereignty. They did it, they exercised it, they perpetrated it, and now they were punished on the same way.
Do you believe then that we are in for a long, protracted conflict because the entire region is now embroiled in it?
Certainly, the entire region is embroiled, and this is not something that needs to be take a long time. And the main question which has to be put to President Trump is, what is your plan for the day after? What is the strategy beyond the military attack? In recent modern history of the United States, America was involved in few major military efforts, one in Iraq, two in Iraq, one in Afghanistan, and in most cases, unfortunately, the United States didn't have the plan for the day after. Also, the Prime Minister of Israel, I criticized him time and again because I think that he didn't have the plan for the day after Gaza. So the military operation is important and it's timely, but you can't make a major step forward if you don't have a strategy for the day after. What do you want to achieve? So this is a question which at this time now, President Trump will have to address himself to.
Right, because as recently as 3 days ago, we saw American and Iranian representatives who are in Geneva in interactions that were being mediated by Oman's foreign minister. Should both Israel and US have waited until all the negotiations were concluded is a question that arises.
Well, yes, but I'm not certain that I am the address to give an answer to this question. I don't know. I'm not part of the government, as you know. I'm in opposition to Prime Minister Netanyahu. I criticize him a lot, and I'm not briefed by what precisely convinced President Trump that the negotiations are leading nowhere. Because it's true, he says, I wanted an agreement, but the Iranians were not interested in an agreement. Therefore, I had no choice but to do what I did.
Because one of the sticking points is said to be that the nuclear program of Iran was a threat to other countries. But the big question is, was there enough indication that Iran was trying to acquire nuclear weapons and also missiles that could reach, for instance, the United States? Because Iran itself has denied this view outright. And also it's a fact that in these strikes, at the moment at least, the information coming in, while they've targeted several generals and of course the supreme leader, so on and so forth, whether nuclear facilities have been attacked this point of time or not, at least the information coming out does not seem to suggest that there's been any strike on a nuclear facility.
Well, I'm afraid that I am not in a position to answer this because I don't know the information. This is a sensitive intelligence information. Only America perhaps can give an answer to this. But one thing must be clear. Look, the Ayatollah's government is a murderous government. This government killed tens of thousands of Iranians. And if they were prepared to kill so many Iranians of their own people, how many more they were prepared to kill in Israel or perhaps in America? So the question arrived to a point where America had to take a decision how to stop this cycle of murders, this cycle of bloodshed, this cycle of threats of war, these cycles of shooting the ballistic missiles into other countries, this cycle of building nuclear capacity, which can threaten the foundations of the entire world. And the President of the United States, I'm not an American, I can't speak for America, I can't speak for the President, I can only say that if the President of the United States arrived at the conclusion that the only possible way to stop this murderous government of the Ayatollahs to put the whole world into a turmoil and instability was to make this attack yesterday, you have to accept it.
Right. But, you know, when it comes to regime change, and you're one of those who said in the past that Iran needs to see such change taking place from within. But do you believe that both Netanyahu and Trump have now tried doing exactly the opposite? And is this really enough for a regime change to be effected?
Well, I'm not sure that I can answer this. Look, I'm not a supporter of Netanyahu. As far as I'm concerned, he should have been removed from position instantly, every minute. That will best serve the interest of the state of Israel. But that doesn't mean that his decision to cooperate with the United States on the military attack in Iran was a wrong decision. I think at this particular time, in spite of all the differences I have with him, I have to accept that this was the right decision at the right time.
Right. Now, we all know that Russia has a defense relationship with Iran. It has come out to condemn Israel and America's actions. How do you assess Russia's approach? Because Russia, China, North Korea, all these countries appear to be very strongly opposing this kind of military intervention.
Well, you know, Russia opposes the military intervention in Iran, but it seems that Russia does not oppose the military intervention in Ukraine. So I'm not certain that Russia is the perfect example for military restraint and military consideration that has to be limited. Russians may not be happy about it, obviously, and the Chinese may not be happy with the American attack, but I doubt very much that they want to expand anyway the disagreements with the West and with Europe and with America further into the Iranian issue. So they will state their position and the disagreement, but I doubt that they will be prepared to take any action.
Right. Now, while we all know that Khamenei had a violent legacy, you've just spoken about tens of thousands of protesters being, acted upon, several people killed, so on and so forth. But the question is this, that what's the guarantee that his successor will not continue the patronage and support for entities like Hamas, Hezbollah and Houthis? Because, you know, today if you look at the statements coming in, they say that, look here, we've had contingency plans in place. We have a succession plans in place. Do you think that, the days of this regime are numbered? Are they just putting on a brave face? What's the likely outcome?
Well, the Iranians are already shooting at Israel ballistic missiles And as you know already, we suffered a few people, Israeli citizens, killed. So not only, I don't know yet who will be the successor of Khamenei, but even the present powers that we are already engaged in a comprehensive military operation against Israeli citizens continuously since yesterday, and they may carry on. We'll have to deal with it. I think that what may ultimately convince the new leadership of Iran is they know what is the price that Iran already paid and is paying and will continue to pay. Are they interested in suffering so much more by America and by Israel? The joint political and military power of America and Israel is very significant. And the Israeli Air Force is controlling the skies of Tehran now for 24 hours already. I'm not certain that Iran is particularly keen to carry on this confrontation and to pay the price. So they will have to decide what future do they want for Iran.
Right. Now, we've seen how Iran has long been at loggerheads with various countries in the Middle East. Now, this includes Qatar, this includes Saudi Arabia and the UAE. How deeply do you see these countries getting dragged into this confrontation? Because if you look at just the UAE, for instance, it's received the maximum brunt of this. We're told over 700 to 800 rockets, drones, etc. that have been fired, many of which have been neutralized, but several have fallen in civilian areas in the UAE. How are you looking at this?
Well, I have to caution you. I'm not an expert on everything. I, find it quite hard to answer how it will develop towards the United Arab Emirates, the peace partners of Israel, or the Saudis, or Qatar, or Bahrain. Again, the reaction of Iran seems to be a loss of some control. For good reasons. They suffered a terrible blow by the mightiest nation on earth. Iran is not fighting just Israel, or just the Emirates, or just Bahrain, or just the Saudis. They are primarily fighting the United States of America, the strongest nation in our universe. And I'm not certain that by shooting at the Emirates or in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi or in Riyadh or in some other place in the nearby territories, that they will gain anything that will help Iran. On the contrary, this will justify, from the point of view of America, continued American attacks with B-2, these mighty combat planes that can destroy much of the infrastructure of Tehran. And I'm not certain that this is in the interest of Iran.
Right. A few days ago, we saw Prime Minister Modi. In fact, just earlier this week, he met with Prime Minister Netanyahu just a few days before these airstrikes took place. And India has now called for de-escalation of the fighting and the situation on ground. How do you see India's role in bringing about the de-escalation that it has sought?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that the visit of Prime Minister Modi was a very exciting event in the state of Israel. India is a huge empire, enormously influential, enormously moving forward rapidly with very exciting technological developments, economic influence, and military power. And we are so happy and proud to have India as our friend. And we were very happy, regardless of political position, to see Prime Minister Modi visiting the state of Israel and being received in the most warm manner by all of the Israelis. Now, I entirely understand and I support his call for ending the military violence in the Middle East, and I hope that the Iranians will listen to him carefully. They have to decide now, do they want to carry on? Do they want to get into a long fight with both America and Israel? The outcome will not be very friendly to Iran. And they have to understand it. And therefore, I think that Modi's call for the end of hostilities is timely and maybe very helpful.
Right. Now, we're seeing some claims coming in from the American side, and of course, you'll say that you're not in government in response to this, but the point is, America has claimed that the Iranian regime had plans to assassinate President Trump. How seriously do you look at these claims?
I don't possess the same information, but this doesn't mean that this accusation is not correct. The Iranians are killers. If the government of Iran was capable of killing 32,000 of its own citizens, then why would I not believe that they are capable of trying to kill their main adversary, President Trump? So I'm sure that the Americans have more information about it, but I hear it first time from you.
Right. What's your assessment of Iran's own retaliatory capabilities? Now, they may have, fired several rockets and drones into various countries in the Middle East, targeting U.S. bases. Even, of course, Israel rockets have been sent in. But in terms of the retaliatory capabilities, do you think it's a matter of something that they can sustain for the next few days, for the next few weeks? How long do you think Iran will be able to sustain this?
I hope that it will be very short, and that it will end up instantly now, today, and this time, because I think that it will only trigger more reprisals from our side, more reprisals from American side, more violent confrontations. And I'll tell you the truth, while I think that the Iranian government is murderous and should be removed, we have no hatred to the Iranian people. The Iranian people were never enemies of the state of Israel, were never enemies of America. And as far as I'm concerned, I pray that no more uninvolved Iranians will be affected by this violence.
Right. And so before we let you go, do you expect, or at least hope, that a reformist opposition will emerge in Iran and take center stage in the near future?
I hope that Iran will return to be a democracy governed by the will of the people and not by ayatollahs. The time for ayatollahs is gone. We don't need them. They are not contributing anything for the goodwill and for the quality of life of the people of Iran. Iran is an enormously rich country which can provide a high quality of life for its people and not to live under the economic sanctions, which was a result of the extreme fundamentalist radical policies of the government. So a new government, democracy, and good life for the people of Iran. That's what we hope will be the outcome of this war.
Mr. Ehud Olmert, former Prime Minister of Israel, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us here at Times Now.
Thank you. Thank you.